Good afternoon and welcome to this week's episode of Rachel Gaffney's Real Ireland, introducing you to the people, places and products from my home. Good afternoon, and Sarah Strackhouse is with us today. This is Sarah. Welcome back.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm thrilled you're here.
I love watching your show, so I'm very honored to be on it.
Go aware to that, you're great. Sarah, by the way, works for Real News. She's the roving reporter here at Real News PR and Real News Communications in Dallas. And she just came back from 2 weeks in Europe, namely Italy and Ireland, but we won't be talking about that on this show. There's enough talk about that. But I asked her to join me today because it's very apropos for today, because we're going to be talking about Irish food and the food scene in Ireland as I know it, or as the Irish people know it. And with Sarah just having come back from a week in Ireland, going everywhere from Dublin and Cork and Clare, I want to get her take on food, her perception before you went to Ireland and maybe your perception now. So with that, maybe we could, and of course, St. Patrick's Day is coming up, March the 17th next week. And I want to be able to, people will be Googling like mad. They'll be looking for Irish food and recipes and everything. So that's why we were going to talk about this today. So Sarah, tell me.
Yes.
You went to Italy first, then you went to Ireland. Did you, coming from an Italian background yourself, did you have a preconceived idea of Italy and Ireland and the food? What were your...
So Italian food, I'm actually an Italian citizen, and my grandmother, I grew up on eating Italian food because my grandmother always cooked for us, so I kind of grew up knowing what Italian food was like, but I had never been to Ireland. I am also Irish. I actually found an ancestor. I went to one of those like archive things, and I've actually found an ancestor that came over on a cruise ship, which was pretty cool. But
Probably not a cruise ship.
No, not a cruise ship, but they, I guess a
Probably emigrated or something.
immigration ship, yeah. But I did have a preconceived notion of what Irish food was, and boy, was I wrong.
Really?
Yes.
What was your perception? What were you expecting when you went there? Now, you knew a little bit from me, but still, what were you kind of expecting to see or taste?
Well, so one thing, I expected amazing bread, and that I did get because of you. I literally had no idea how great the bread was and just kind of how they cooked it and everything. So that was great. But I expected the fish and chips, meat and potatoes, lots of carrots for some reason. I kind of expected the hearty food, but just kind of those things. I didn't expect all the delicacies that I ended up finding and the sheer amount of amazing seafood, which I'm not a seafood person. I really don't like seafood. I'll eat sushi or something, but I really don't like it. And this was the first time I could say I loved it.
That's
spoiled
so great.
now.
That's so great. And that sort of brings me back into what Sarah was saying was, so I did this morning. I've done it last year and I'm going to do it again. So earlier this morning, I decided to go on my computer and Google just simply 2 words, Irish food. And this is the image that popped up. Right, so if we could just hold that up there for a moment, Ashley. That is... when you click on images at the top of your page in the Google search engine. So these are the top photos that are coming up. Now, again, I'm not here to denigrate or knock, a good piece of bacon or ham or something like that. But these are the images that pop up. Now, the bottom right-hand corner does show some oysters. So there's, yay. So that's great. But that's what's coming up. Now, in Ireland, there is a hashtag on social media, which I urge you all to follow on both Instagram and Twitter. And the hashtag is, This is Irish Food. And that's a great hashtag to follow. What I would implore people, especially in Ireland, who are posting their food, their products, whether it's from their restaurant or their farm or whatever it is, or something they make in their home or their cookbooks, yes, by all means use this as Irish food, because I think it makes a great statement. But I would highly suggest you also add the hashtag Irish food. Why? Because when people are looking for something here, let's say for St. Patrick's Day now, everybody will be looking for a recipe. So they'll be looking for, they're not thinking, oh, I need to Google, this is Irish food.
Right.
That's not the natural go-to. The natural go-to is Irish food.
Yep.
So just put it in there with it, and I think that will help raise the profile, which is what I really want to do and draw awareness to, is raising the profile of Irish food ingredients, the artisans, the producers, the chefs, and the general hospitality industry. So as Sarah said, she had a preconceived idea, and then you tried the seafood and the fish, and you loved it.
I loved it. I mean, I had some chowder dishes pretty much every single meal, and oysters. And I liked oysters before, but I would never choose oysters. There, every single time.
Can I ask you, what made you, like, if you liked oysters before, but you had them in Ireland, was there something different that you found about the oysters over there?
They were so much fresher, I think. They had more flavor. I don't know if I'm, just making that up, but I remember tasting them, and no.
You're not making it up.
I remember tasting them, and I was like, this is so much better than anything, I get in America, or, I don't know, maybe in Maryland or somewhere amazing, but you don't get oysters like that, and they're huge. They were humongous. I mean, I was shocked.
They are, and there is a reason for that, actually. Sarah's not wrong. I took some people over to Ireland, and we went to Carlingford in County Louth, where the oysters, so there, you can get oysters in different parts of Ireland. Obviously, Galway are famous for their oysters, and Carlingford are famous for their oysters. And what they explained to me in Carlingford, where you're in the loch and you look up in the mountains, they were saying that the water comes down through the mountains, comes over the heather, crosses over different types of maybe limestones or different herbs. And by the time it gets down, you see oysters filter water. They're filtering thousands of gallons of water per day. So it's absorbing the nutrients and the flavors from whatever the water crosses over. So it's not just how you look after your oysters, it's the terrain that the water crosses over. Then moving on from there, I wanted to show you some imagery and some Instagram. I thought it'd be a little bit of fun for other people who want to follow and who are intrigued by this. Some social media people I suggest you follow if you want to know a little bit more about what I'm talking about. One of them is a good friend of mine, an American girl actually living over in Ireland.
Hey.
And her name is Imen MacDonald. And I've mentioned Imen before, and this is Imen's cookbook. It's called the Farmette Cookbook. But Imen is on Instagram. And if you look at Imen's page, I think I took a screenshot of what Imen's page looks like there. Do you see those imagery? I mean, the bottom two or top three out of the six, you can see the food. And you can see her... See that beautiful bread there? That's an Irish Stout and Treacle loaf, which is in her cookbook, which she has shared the recipe for us. So we're going to do that a little bit later. But you can follow Imen on Instagram. And the other person, she works with a woman by the name of Cliona Prendergast in Ireland. And as you can see, Cliona does food writing and photography. And she and Imen do a thing together called Lens and Larder, which is superb. You can go for a 2 or 3 day retreat on food writing, photography, having fun with food, eating it, talking about it, and then writing about it, and the ingredients and the terroir and the terrain. And so they're doing a wonderful job over there, Cliona and Imen, with that. I mentioned earlier on about that image of the Google Irish food images. There's a restaurant in Galway, and they have an Instagram page, but I am a great fan of JP McMahon.
Okay.
And JP has a few restaurants in Galway, and one of his restaurants is a Michelin star restaurant. They've held the Michelin star now for 8 years. And I took a picture of their Instagram page there, if we can bring that up, Ashley. Okay, let's hold that. There's JP in the top left. Now, do you see his food?
It's so like delicate. It's amazing.
But that is, when you talk about Irish food, yes, my mother's not maybe presenting that every night. He has a Michelin
think
star.
most people are, yeah.
He has a Michelin star for a reason. But if you leave that up there, what's really special is the food and the ingredients that he uses are local or national, and he celebrates the producers in his area. So whether it's goat cheese or salmon from the Burren or seaweeds, and he makes his stocks out of seaweeds. I mean, and in the top right-hand corner there, that's his new book called The Irish Cookbook. And this is going to be an incredible book. It just came out, and I urge people. I ordered my copy of it last week, actually, from Ireland, and I just noticed it's actually for sale on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. But
nice.
he was just written about again 2 days ago in the Boston Globe. I happened to be looking through online in the Boston Globe, and I think I took a screenshot of that image, the article that they wrote about. There it is, Reclaiming the History of Irish Cooking. And if you can see there, it says a Galway chef's cookbook showcases the history and origins of his native cuisine. I really like it. You can see where it goes into about the history of it and how we cooked and the importance of other ingredients besides the potato, because we get lumped into that category all the time.
Yep. And you talk about kind of the intent and how each ingredient is specifically sourced and talked about. I mean, that was something also that coming back, I think I realized so much how much food is celebrated, how much putting together food and eating together and getting together is celebrated. And I think here in America, sometimes I think we have a complicated relationship with food and meals. And I think in Ireland, I really felt like it was celebrated, and the ingredients were so particular and like you said, like locally sourced. So I think that was really special.
Well, I think that's very intuitive of you, because I've lived here since 1996. And again, we're not here to slice, America versus Europe. But you are very insightful, because one of the things I noticed when I moved here was people do have very complicated relationships with food. And I noticed, especially with women, it's a punitive thing. So they won't eat it. They'll say, I can't have that. That'll go straight to my hips. This idea that food is there to punish you.
That it's a bad thing.
Yeah. Now, admittedly, if you eat processed foods and drive-through foods and cake and takeout and all that, well, of course you're going to get fat and you don't get off the couch. Well,
and you're going to have heart problems, or you're going to be unhealthy, besides just the looks.
Absolutely. But, really and truly, food is, like as you said, it is a celebration. So it's a way of life, especially when I studied French. I was living in France for a while with a French family, and meals take hours because, and the same in Italy, you're talking over food and you're lingering over the food and you're connecting, which goes back to JP McMahon. And I wanted to show this little video, and I think this will sort of help. I'm going to give a shout out to him because he is the founder of a symposium held in Ireland every year in October, and it's called Food on the Edge. What JP has been doing is he's been opening up the dialogue and the narrative, which is critically important amongst chefs around the world. So here's this man in Ireland bringing in world leaders in food and getting them talking to each other, because as he says, they can be a little bit self-congratulatory. You know how chefs are all, we're great, we have Michelin stars and we're fabulous. But there is a whole section of the food industry based on sustainability, again, sourcing locally, food waste, repurposing ingredients, going back to things that we can use for making that. And so what's happened is it's now into 5 or 6 years on. I mean, I still haven't got there, but my goal is to get there for 2020. It's called Food on the Edge. And we'll share a link to the website. But they put together this little video for, they hosted, as I said, in Galway, Connemara, the west of Ireland, which is breathtakingly wild. You just want to be there. You do.
Yep.
Oh my God. So shall we roll the video there, Ashley? Have we got it? And we can let people have a quick look. It's only about a minute and a half or so, but give you an idea.
It's green. It's beautiful. It's alive. It's very dynamic.
Magnificent. Feels like I'm in a movie at Game of Thrones.
How small it makes you feel. That's really what I love about this place.
I think we really have to just get the confidence, I think, to know that what we have is good and then to really go with it.
Hospitality here is my favorite thing about Western Ireland. You've got such beautiful land, such beautiful food, but more than anything, you have beautiful people.
The people.
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 The people.
People are friendly.
People is amazing.
Everywhere you go, big smile, and they welcome you. I never see that anywhere else in the world.
I found everybody very warm and generous.
The people, the culture, and the amazing scenery.
Great thing about Western Ireland is the complexity. It's just, there's so much happening. There's so much to offer.
And you've got this whole coastal and inland sort of variety of produce, which is incredible. It's one of the best, and like I say, it's just like coming home.
I love how diverse Irish food is.
The landscape and the ingredients are special. They're really, really special.
The dairy is incredible.
The products, the seafood.
The razor clams.
Good. The great thing about Western Ireland is definitely the weather.
Tons of rainfall. Grass grows very green, so it's very comforting to be here.
Incredible flow of language. Everyone has poetry and humor and good cheer just flowing out of their mouths.
But also in driving around, there's really no reason to talk much, but just to stare out the window. And I find that kind of show incredibly dramatic and inspiring.
I'm really lucky that JP decided to bring me over and get to enjoy this beautiful part of the world that I've never actually seen before. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world, so I can't wait to come back.
It's my first time here, but definitely won't be my last.
It's raw, natural beauty that is unforeseen by many, and also it has great soul.
Wow. See what I mean? That's a photograph from his restaurant in Galway, Anair. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it properly. I'll have to get JP on. Anair. It's A-N-I-A-R in Galway. And it's had a Michelin star now for 8 years.
I love that. That was such a special video. And it really kind of like catches the culture really well. I love that.
I love the colory. Did you love the scenery? You know, those lovely wild mountains and the water, like where the boats are going through the water.
And the rolling hills. I mean, it's just, it's gorgeous.
I know, you got to go. I mean, honestly, it's just fantastic. And then I'm going to go back to, let's move on. I want to talk about some bread, and I want to talk about Amen for a minute. I think we need to do this. So back in September, some of you may know and some of you may not know, I have a travel side of my business. So every now and again, I lead a trip to Ireland. Mostly I arrange trips for everybody who wants to go there. And I'm kind of pulling back the veil, if you like, on Ireland. I want people to sort of go behind the scenes and see more and experience more. And I did one in September, and I contacted Amen and I said, look, I want to take some people, we want to go foraging, we want to go then have some tea with you, not some complicated dinner, just, you know, tea and a scone. Well, she came through and we did it at Glynn Castle. So I took them foraging in the grounds of a castle, you know, how bad.
Casual.
Just like you do. And then we sat down and had tea and everything. But I think I have some video footage there of Amen in action. We'll show you. It's just a little bit, but here she is.
Properties for boosting the immune system. So we're just going to take some of these off here. And
that goes straight in your basket?
Straight in the basket, and we're going to... Oh, we took some turnips because they were coming out of the ground.
We stole some turnips.
I think Olga and Dominic will approve.
The plant that's right behind this tree that has some kind of...
It's ivy. It's a form of ivy. And it's really
with a flower
impressive.
on it?
So who is Dominic?
Where she said Dominic will approve?
Yeah.
Some of you may or may not know, but you know the actor Dominic West? He was in that movie, Ashley, I don't know if you've seen it on Showtime, I think it's called The Affair. with Dominic West.
Yes,
It's been lots of
but a long time ago.
Yeah. So Dominic is married to Catherine Fitzgerald, and they together own Glyn Castle. And so that's where we were. So that's where she said Dominic will approve, because we're all here. I caught on videos, all picking everything out in the garden. But I am taking people. I'm leading a trip in September to October the 6th of this year. Very special one. I have Glyn Castle for the whole weekend. We're staying there as well with a masked dinner. So if you want details on that, let me know. But we went back inside.
I want details on
you
that.
do?
Side note, yes. I want to go back.
I have to take you with me. I think it'd be fun, the two of us going, whole load of us.
Boy,
Ashley, you'd have to come with us though, wouldn't you?
Big triple threat.
There she is back there. Poor Ashley, she's always back in there. No, I was like, hi, Ash. But we sat down and we had tea then in the castle. I have a couple of photos of that there of what it looked like, you know, just a casual, like you do. Look at the table, isn't it lovely?
As one frequently does.
Yes,
Goes to
and the
castles.
food she made, she had a lovely almond frangipane. Look at that, with blackberries. Now, those were wild blackberries. They were just out and about, so she threw them on the plate. This is a little bit more about, this is Irish food, you know. Those are the images that I'd like to see more and more. And these are the stories I'd like people to hear about, you know. And it was delicious. It was fantastic. Imen is a star. She gave me a recipe. And in her book, which, by the way, I do have some copies left. So if anybody wants to buy something, maybe for St. Patrick's Day coming up, give a gift to somebody.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Her book is just exquisite. See these?
Yeah.
I mean, she has all these lovely photographs, stories, anecdotes about her life on an Irish farm. She's married to an Irish farmer. She visits the orchards. But in there, she's given me permission to use one of her recipes, and it's an Irish stout and treacle loaf. See it right here in front of me?
Am I going to get to eat some on
You wanna
camera?
try some?
I do.
Okay. I cut up a little piece as well for Ashley to have back there. But what I love about this bread is, you know how we have Irish soda bread? And everybody calls it Irish soda bread here. And I want to tell people that Irish soda bread is made of very few ingredients. It's made of flour, buttermilk, and baking soda. That's it. No more. The baking soda and the buttermilk interact together, and that's what causes it to rise.
So no yeast?
So there's no yeast in this. This bread takes about 3 minutes to prepare, mix, and in the oven for 40 minutes.
That's
Done.
quick.
It's simple.
And I bake bread, so I know that's a long time.
I saw, actually, I was following you. I love how we all follow each other on Instagram, but it's great. But I was following you on Instagram on your, you were making bread the other day.
This weekend, my grandmother's. Yeah, so she was like this old Italian pepper pot, you know, immigrated here years ago. And
she's from Italy.
Oh, yeah. She,
born and raised.
Born and raised. She came here when she was 35, I think.
Yeah.
And then married my grandfather, who was an American. And her bread takes about 5 hours. There's 2 rising processes.
Okay.
So an hour.
And what do you do? You have to just stand there and wait. You just let it rise.
Yeah,
and then
you let it rise for about an hour, and then you come back and knead, and then 2 hours. So you can, I don't know, maybe run to the gym real quick, run some errands,
say a quick prayer,
hang out with the dogs, watch a movie. I don't know.
Yeah. Say a quick prayer.
Say a quick prayer. Yeah.
Hope
it rises.
Yeah. Because sometimes with the Italian breads, don't they have traditions with it?
Yes. So
Did
I
your
have
grandmother
to.
have one?
Yes, she had a very strict one. You have to pray every time you let it rise, and then when you put it in the oven, you have to pray again. And she has specific prayers, and you have to do things with your hands, and I won't give all of her secrets away.
No.
But the one time, and I've made it 50-something times. I mean, I
Right.
make it every year for Christmas. And the one time I didn't pray over it, it didn't rise.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and it was bone hard when I actually ended up putting it in the oven, and I was like, well, Grandma's looking down at me, yelling at me right now.
Well, here you go. So with Irish soda bread, you often see a round loaf made. Ashley, you've got some back there to try?
Yes, I sure do.
Go on, have a bite. So this one has got, I'll save you talking, this has got stout and treacle in it. Or the equivalent to treacle over here is molasses. It's the closest thing, you know, that black, thick one. So just a little bit of it, and the bread gives it a sweeter taste. So there's different things you can do with soda breads.
It's amazing.
But this bread, you know, after 2 days, oh my God, you could kill somebody with it. It's like a hockey puck. You just flick it at them, it's rock hard. So, you know, you're supposed to make it, consume it, and that's it.
That's when you know it's good, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I often do, you know what I do with this? I pan fry it. I'll pan fry it. I did a brisket yesterday. I put one in the slow cooker for 8 hours. And I'll shred it and I'll do a red cabbage slaw and brisket, and I will pan fry this as well. And so that's another way of using it. Or it's just, you know, gorgeous with a bowl of soup. But this is a great thing to make that people might want to make for St. Patrick's Day. And look, we're in the studio, so I don't have a kitchen here, so there are other things I could offer or make for you guys, but I just wanted something basic. So thanks to Imen, let me share the recipe with you now. I love this recipe for Irish Stout and Treacle Loaf, which I found in my good friend Imen MacDonald's cookbook, the Farmet Cookbook. Thanks to her, she's allowed me share this with you. Enjoy. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. In a large bowl, combine 2 cups of whole wheat flour, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 1.5 cups of rolled oats, 1 tablespoon of baking soda, and 1/2 tablespoon of salt. Make a well in the center. Next, pour in 2 cups of buttermilk. Add 2 tablespoons of honey and 2 tablespoons of molasses. Finally, pour in 1/4 cup of Irish Stout and combine the mixture thoroughly with the spoon, but careful not to over-knead this dough. Spoon into a 9-inch loaf pan, which has been prepared and lined with parchment paper. Sprinkle with some more oats and gently score the top of the bread with a sharp paring knife. Bake in the oven for 45 minutes. Remove and turn your loaf out onto a wire rack to allow it to cool. A men's tip is to cover with a damp tea towel, allowing it to remain moist and avoiding the crust from getting too hard. Once cooled, slice, slather with Irish butter, and top with your favourite topping. Enjoy. So there you have it. And thanks a million for your recipe. What do you think?
Well, I love how you say at the end of that video, enjoy, because I just did. I ate that entire slice, and I am not opposed to more. So after the show, I'll dig in more.
Do you think you'll make it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially because the simplicity, I think, of it,
yeah,
definitely.
Well, I think the variations, and I'd love to hear from people, especially on social media and everything. By the way, this also goes out on YouTube, so if people want to come back and look at these later, all of these episodes are up on YouTube. I just don't know why I thought of that right now. But if you make a soda bread, I'd love to hear from you because, like you said with your grandmother, the other tradition with soda breads was you'd always see when somebody made a round one or even a loaf one, you see a cross in it, and everybody said, oh, it was because, evil, to ward off evil spirits. And so, a lot of religious traditions accompanied with it. But it was a peasant bread. But one of the things they believed that they were smart and they knew is that by scoring the top before you bake it, whether it's just a straight line or a cross, was that it actually releases the steam. So it allows it to bake better. So this is a very dense bread, as you can see. But that colour is from the Irish Stout, so it gives it a lovely look. If you want to order Imen's cookbook, or if there's anybody here in Dallas thinks they need a copy for friends or anything, I have some left. And if it's not on my website, it'll be going up today. Those will be available. It's just a beautiful gift. I wanted to sort of talk about one or two things first before we leave and end on this note. And it just reminds me of I was thinking about you in Cork. So in Cork, where I grew up, there is a very famous church there called Shandon. Shandon Bells. And there's look at me, I like something from the YMCA. But there is a clock up there, and there's 4 clocks going around, and it's known as the Four-Faced Liar. And up at the top, there are bells that you can ring, and you can play different tunes. And I meant to tell you about it before you went. And then I find out you went.
Well, you hooked me up with John, so he filled me in. Yeah, so I got pretty lucky. Yeah.
Clarify hooking her up with John?
Okay, yeah, that sounded a little weird, huh?
Yeah, because her husband was there too.
My husband was there. I was there with my husband.
But John is the concierge of the Metropole Hotel in Cork. He's fantastic. Yeah. An episode I want to do sometime is actually on concierges and drivers in Ireland. They are the best.
Phenomenal.
But John hooked her up anyway and sent her to Shandon. And before we show this video, I was trying to figure out, what did you actually play? It doesn't sound like it, but what did you play? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, because my husband played it first, and I was like, you're not doing it right. So then I played it, and it still sounded the same. So we weren't very good. 3 blind mice.
Well, we'll see if people can judge. It's a quick snippet of her at Shandon Bells. Let's have a look and see.
So this was kind of when we were walking up to it, and then this was the inside. It was so amazing. They had these old books and Bibles, like from the 1700s, and children's books,
nice.
and everything. I couldn't remember what this was once I got
The
back,
baptismal
but
font.
Here it is. Sounds pretty terrible.
3. Do you know who I feel sorry for?
All the people
All the
who
poor
lived
residents.
in Cork. Well, then you continued up, and my husband is, 6'5", former linebacker, so he was going like shimmying sideways through some of it. But then you go up, and here's the actual bell, and then that was...
Oh, the rainbow.
Yes, this is my
see that?
terrible footage from up top because it was raining a little bit, but...
Okay, so it's a rainbow in Ireland.
Yeah.
There it is, the four-faced liar of Shandon.
This is the other side and the back and the gorgeous view of Cork. I mean, we loved it in Cork. I would love to go back again and just spend like 2 weeks there.
Well, as you can see, there's just so much content anyway. I mean, there's just so much information. But I had to end and show that little bit of footage for that. But anyway, I think we should wrap it up for this week. I think we covered a lot. And I'm hoping that you'll start, if you've missed some of this, go back over the beginning. I shared some interesting resources for you to follow on social media about Irish food and the food scene, Food on the Edge, Emen MacDonald, JP McMahon, Galway. And of course, Galway right now, for 2020, Galway is the European City of Culture. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, no, I didn't.
So there's a lot happening in Galway. We'll have to share. In fact, I'm going to have some people on the show from Galway soon as well, talking about what's going on. But until next week, hopefully you all have a lovely St. Patrick's Day. Love to hear if you try making amends bread. Take a picture, tag us, send it to me. Follow me on Instagram or YouTube or Twitter, Rachel Gaffney, or on Facebook, Rachel Gaffney's Real Ireland. We would love to hear from you, but we'd also love to hear, is there anything you want us to talk about? Is there any part of Ireland you'd like to know about? Is there anybody or anything? And we'll endeavour to do what we can. But until next week or the week after next, Slán Leat.